So this is my sensory swing.
I still get questions about it, so here we go.
Sensory swings can be used to apply deep pressure, which can be very calming for autistic people.
It kind of feels like a hug without physical contact. Mine is attached to a beam in my ceiling. I made mine out of Ariel silk on Amazon. This is how much weight it can hold. Sensory swings are used in all types of therapies and aren't just for autistic people. I like that I can cocoon like a caterpillar.
I actually made it. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you my moss blanket and my other moss projects, because I like moss. So here's the blanket. I didn't really follow a pattern because I'm really bad at counting, so I kind of just did whatever. And it worked great because it's moss. Here's my moss rug. It's made out of bath mats and so many pom-poms. But I love the texture of it. Also, the rocks are squishy, which I find so funny. And then I mounted some moss on some foam and put it on my wall. It's pretty great. It looks like it's growing there. And then I'm embroidering a more detailed moss blanket. It's gonna take forever, but this is what I have so far. I am loving it. But I really love moss. So a little while ago, my doctor wanted me to go to the ER to do some tests. It's okay, I'm fine. I just wasn't taking care of myself. But here's some tools I brought to make the trip easier. So I brought some fidgets to help regulate myself. I brought some sunglasses to help with the lights and headphones. I brought something that has to do with my special interests. Made sure to wear comfy, sensory-friendly clothing. I also brought my weighted blanket, which was super helpful. Honestly, this was the most prepared I've ever been to an ER trip, and it was a lot easier. Then afterwards, I made sure to relax and engage in my special interests to help regulate myself. I also watched some Lord of the Rings. It was a lot better. I was going through some old videos and I found this one and I love it so much. It's a great example why I love interacting with children because they naturally stim. So I'm able to do it with them, and not only does that normalize it for them, it helps me regulate my emotions. And it's fantastic. I love just sitting and stimming with children. It's just so satisfying. So I got to go through a car wash all by myself for the very first time. It was amazing. So my friend let me take their car through and I was so excited. I love car washes so much. The sensory experience for me is fantastic. I love all the foamy soaps and the lights and the colors, and oh, I loved it. I actually didn't realize how much I was stimming until I watched the video back. It made me so happy. I love it. Is kissing hard for me sensory-wise? I mean, I did throw up after my first kiss. My first and last kiss, let's just say, did not go great. So because I have a hard time reading body language, I did not know what was going on. They were dropping me off, we were in the car, and they leaned forward and kind of paused and are like, "May I?" I was so confused. May you what? They were leaning forward, so I was like, maybe they want to write something down and lost a pen, so they're asking if they can kind of look on my side of the car. Are they going for a high five, hug, fist bump? No, it was a kiss. But I didn't know that, so I was like, sure. All of a sudden, I was like, wow, they were really close to my face. And then bam, I was like, oh, this is disgusting. I really tried to hold it in, and then they left, and I threw up. I was so grateful I didn't throw up all over them because that would have been horrible. Plus, I don't really get the point of kissing. Let's have our faces mushed together. It makes no sense. So, what do I do for work? I will never get tired of this question. So, I'm self-employed because it is very hard for me to get a job due to my disabilities. So I paint insects, and I have to do this every time, but it's flat. So 2 of my special interests are art and insects. So for work, I just combined them, and it's been amazing. I've always loved painting, but have done it full-time for about 10 years now. I sell my work on Instagram, my website, and I'm in multiple galleries. It is super fun, and I love it so much. You are probably not ready for this, but look, I made moss boots. I freaking love moss. I am so pleased with how these turned out. Also, did you know that moss doesn't have a root system? That's amazing. So I embroidered a bunch of mossy patches. I mainly did French knots, and I think that's called the turkey stitch. I don't know, but then I made some fungus out of air dry clay, and then I used this glue, which worked extremely well, to just glue it onto the boots, and that was fantastic. I am in love with my boots. I might get some paint just to paint over the glue to hide it a little bit, but other than that, I'm really pleased with how they turned out. I think I'm gonna mossify a sweater next. This comment as a reminder that autism is a large spectrum, and just because one autistic person has the ability to do something doesn't mean another one has that same ability. To give an example, me requiring having an advocate when I'm talking to medical professionals is not the problem of it's uncomfortable going to a doctor's appointment alone. When I haven't had an advocate, it's resulted in me being restrained and sedated during autistic meltdowns, them taking away my tools and forms of communication when I'm in a bad verbal shutdown, them discussing putting me under a guardianship, me having to fight as an adult with social services. Because of my severe meltdowns and the fact that I struggle with autistic elopement and have a bad sense of danger, it is not safe for me to travel on my own. I have no idea what I would have done if I was on my own when I had a bad autistic meltdown in Disneyland. It can look like I'm having a seizure and they can last for hours. I'm at high risk of harming myself because of the amount of thrashing that I'm doing. I am not coherent during my meltdowns. That would not have been safe for me to be left on my own. Autistic people are drastically different from each other, and one thing that might help one person doesn't help another. Some autistic people are non-speaking and never are able to verbally communicate. I had to go through years of intense speech therapy to be able to communicate. Some never have to go through therapy and are extremely verbal. Some require 24/7 care to stay alive. Others are able to live completely on their own. Some autistic people are able to go to college. For me, that was just not in the realm of plausibility, that my parents didn't even talk to me about it. They were like, yeah, that's not even a possibility. Autistic people are individuals, and we can have drastically different experiences from each other. We don't all have the same exact brain, which means we don't have all the same experiences. And no hate to this commenter. This is a great opportunity to learn that there's different levels of support needs and varying abilities with autistic people. So I tend to be pretty expressive. Not that means I understand facial expressions. A lot of times I rewatch my videos and I'm like, wow, what is my face doing? But if I'm really overstimulated, my facial expressions don't really change. It's just flat. Struggling with facial expressions combined with bad interoception and being able to tell what's happening internally with my body made for a very funny experience growing up. Neighborhood was having a chili cook-off, and one person made a really hot chili with ghost peppers. I saw that chili and was like, hey, I want to try that. I don't know why I wanted to try that, because that was a bad idea, but I did. People watched me eat it and were like, wow, is it just not hot to you? You are completely fine. I was not okay, but with all the people around, I was overstimulated. My face was not changing whatsoever, which made them think I was not affected by the heat. But then later, I start crying, and I can't tell what's happening internally and that I'm in pain. So I'm confused why I'm crying. I'm like, am I sad? What happened? No, I was crying because the heat. One kid threw up. It was hot chili, so they were quite impressed that my face wasn't changing, not knowing it was autism.